You tap your card. The terminal chirps, a green check mark appears, but almost no money has moved. What you have actually started is a rapid exchange between a chip, a payment terminal, a merchant, several payment companies, a card network, and your bank. They are not passing digital coins. They are exchanging messages about identity, risk, permission, and debt. So what happens between your tap and that green check mark? The exact route varies by country, bank, card brand, merchant, and device. But a typical contactless payment follows the same basic chain. Your card talks to the terminal. The merchant sends a request toward your bank. Your bank decides whether to approve it. Then, later, separate systems calculate who owes what and move the money. Your visible action ends when the card reaches the terminal. The invisible system begins a few centimeters away. The terminal creates a small electromagnetic field. A contactless card normally has no battery, so energy from that field wakes its chip long enough to communicate. The card and terminal use near-field communication, or NFC, a very short-range radio exchange designed to work only when the devices are close together. The terminal asks the chip what information is needed. The card responds with account-related data and a cryptographic value connected to that specific purchase. Cryptography means mathematical methods that help another computer check whether a message is genuine. EMV the organization behind widely used chip payment specifications, explains that an EMV contactless transaction generates a one-time security code. A recording of one payment should not become a reusable instruction for another. Your coffee now exists as a data package. It includes the amount, merchant, terminal, and security information. The terminal may also decide whether you must prove that you are the authorized user. Depending on local rules, the amount, and your device, that could mean nothing extra, a PIN, or biometric confirmation on your phone. But even after that check, the merchant still has not received your money. The request now moves from the merchant's point-of-sale system to a processor or acquiring bank. The acquirer is the institution that helps the merchant accept card payments and connect to card networks. Other companies may sit in between. One may provide the terminal. Another may translate messages. Another may manage fraud controls and settlement. Why so many layers? Because each performs a different job. The request eventually reaches the card network. The network reads, identifies connected to your card, and routes the message to the bank that issued it. That bank is called the issuer. A request that began beside a coffee machine may now cross several private networks and data centers before reaching the computer responsible for your account. Now your bank must answer one question: approve or decline. The issuer checks whether the card is active, whether enough funds or credit are available, whether the security data is valid, and whether the purchase fits the account's rules. It may also run fraud models using signals such as recent activity, location, merchant type, transaction size, and repeated attempts. The bank is balancing two costly mistakes: approve fraud, and someone may lose money. Decline a legitimate purchase, and you may abandon the sale. The bank uses rules, account history, risk models, and security data to choose. Its answer travels back through the card network, the processor, the merchant system, and finally, the terminal. The terminal chirps. The green checkmark appears. Your coffee is released. But that checkmark usually does not mean your money has already reached the cafe's bank account. It means the transaction has been authorized. Authorization is permission. Your bank has agreed to support the purchase under the payment network's rules. It may reduce your available balance or place a temporary hold, while the merchant receives confirmation that the payment was approved. This is the first major twist. The tap mostly moves messages. The money moves later. The Bank for International Settlements separates the back end of a payment into processing, clearing, and settlement. Processing includes authorization, security checks, and fraud monitoring. Clearing means sending, matching, and reconciling transaction records. Settlement means transferring funds between institutions to complete what they owe each other. Why separate these stages? Because payment systems do not always move money separately after every coffee or grocery purchase. They can collect many transactions, compare what each institution owes, and settle the totals in an organized way. Your cafe payment now waits to be captured and submitted. Capture means the merchant confirms that the approved purchase should be completed. In many retail systems, completed payments are grouped into batches and sent later, although the exact timing varies. Your $5 coffee may become one line inside a file containing thousands of purchases. The payment network and participating banks compare what was authorized with what the merchant submits. They calculate obligations, apply rules, identify fees, and create settlement instructions. The cheerful beep was only the beginning. Imagine your payment at 8:17 in the morning. You tap a debit card for a $5 coffee. The chip creates transaction-specific security data. The terminal builds the request. The processor carries it to the acquirer. The network routes it to your bank. Your bank approves it. Later, the cafe submits the completed sale with many others. Fees and obligations are calculated. Settlement moves money between institutions, and the cafe's provider credits the merchant according to its contract. The $5 does not move intact from you to the cafe. The merchant receives most of it. The payment provider may charge processing fees. The issuer may receive interchange, a fee connected to issuing the card and taking on certain costs and risks. The card network may charge its own fees. There is no universal percentage. Debit and credit rules differ. Domestic and international payments differ. Merchant type, regulation, and negotiated pricing all affect the split. The machinery can be cheap at scale, but it is not free. A United States Federal Reserve report found that large debit card issuers had average authorization, clearing, and settlement costs of 4.1 cents per transaction in 2023, excluding fraud losses. 4 cents sounds tiny. Across 1 million transactions, it becomes about $41,000. What happens when something fails? If the terminal cannot read the card, it may ask you to tap again or insert the chip. If the merchant loses its connection, the payment may time out, be declined, or follow limited offline rules depending on the local setup. If the bank's risk system sees an unusual pattern, a legitimate purchase may be rejected even when money is available. Problems can also appear later. The merchant might submit the wrong amount, fail to capture the payment, or send records that do not match the authorization. That is why payment systems need reversals, disputes, adjustments, and refunds. A transaction that looked finished may still be corrected or canceled. Security creates a hidden trade-off. The fastest checkout would ask almost no questions. The safest possible checkout would inspect everything and challenge every customer. A useful system must operate between those extremes. It has to detect fraud without making every legitimate purchase frustrating. That creates a privacy tension too. Fraud detection improves when institutions can examine patterns across time, location, merchants, devices, and accounts. But more data creates more responsibility. The Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council maintains PCI DSS, baseline requirements for organizations that handle payment account data. Those rules do not make breaches impossible. They create a common minimum for protecting a chain in which one weak system can expose information far beyond the shop. The deepest twist is that your card is not really carrying money. It carries credentials and computing power that help request access to an account or credit line. The terminal is not a miniature bank vault. The network is not a pipe filled with digital coins. What moves first is a structured claim. This merchant says, "You approved this amount." This chip produced valid evidence, and this bank is being asked to accept the obligation. The system works because thousands of institutions agree on technical standards, message formats, deadlines, fees, security checks, and dispute rules. A contactless payment feels like one action only because dozens of decisions have been compressed into a few seconds. The simplicity is not the absence of complexity. It is complexity hidden well. The next time a payment appears as pending, you are seeing the gap between authorization and final completion. The next time a refund takes longer than the purchase, you are watching messages and accounting entries travel back through the system. You tap your card, and behind that tiny gesture, a network of chips, terminals, processors, banks, rules, risk models, clearing files, and settlement accounts turns permission into money.